Alright, so here's my very quick review of the new Lars von Trier film, The House That Jack Built. So, this is yet another controversial film by Lars von Trier, which is not saying much because almost all of his movies cause some kind of controversy. This movie premiered at Cannes last year, and it caused outrage. Outrage! There was booing, there was cheering, there were people walking out, and there were people calling it a masterpiece and giving standing ovation. I believe there was a 10-minute standing ovation when the credits started rolling, as well as there was booing. And, that's the usual thing with Lars von Trier movies. And this is a story about a serial killer, and it chronicles his killing streaks over the course of 10 to 12 years. I think it's broken up in 6 chapters if you include the epilogue. So, I have a strange relationship with his movies. I liked some of his movies a lot. I love Melancholia. I really liked Dancer in the Dark, although I'm never going to see that movie again. That was a really tough watch. And I also enjoyed Nymphomaniac Volume 1. I thought that was a really fun and interesting film. But there are also other films that I really despised. I didn't like Antichrist, although it's been a while since I saw that movie, but I really didn't like that movie at all. And I didn't like Nymphomaniac Volume 2. That movie was just really repulsive for me. And, my exposure to his films is very limited, but my reaction for his movies have been very mixed. And, I expected this movie to fall on either side. And surprisingly, this felt I will put this film somewhere in the middle. First reaction I got was indifference. I just didn't like the movie, but I didn't dislike the movie. I was bored for the most part. The first 30 minutes is actually really interesting because you see Matt Dillon's character, committing heinous things to women. And, there were some darkly funny moments, and there are some interesting ideas that Lars von Trier presents. But after that, I just got bored. Everything became so repetitive, and the violence wasn't shocking or upsetting enough, partly because there's no substance to the killings. It just happens to just to shock people, and I'm used to that, so I was like, oh, Lars, come on, it's not doing anything to me. It's just this thing that he puts just to cause reaction, and I'm used to that. So I'm like, I don't care. This is kind of boring. So that was pretty much the how I reacted for the most part. I did read some reviews, and you could make an argument that this is a film in which he as in von Trier examines his career and sort of kind of apologizing to the audiences for what he's done to his female characters over the course of 20 years of his career as a filmmaker. But at the same time, there was so much other stuff that was just so self-indulgent and self-congratulatory, and it's just, there were moments that had me go, oh, that's interesting, Lars. I'm interested in more of that. And there are times, well, most of the times, where I felt, oh, come on, Lars, just tell a fucking story, man. Make a legit movie for once, and stop being a reactionary provocateur, and just make a fucking movie, please. So I think Matt Dillon is really great, and I think this is his best performance of his career. I think he is tremendous in the movie. And I think that's about it. I think there are some interesting use of montage, and some interesting discussions or presentation of ideas about artists and artistry and what that means to the world and stuff. But, at the same time, I don't think von Trier is taking himself seriously. Some of his stuff, he just does it as a joke. There's a section in the movie where he talks about the Nazi architecture and talks about Hitler in a somewhat positive light, which just made me go, "Oh, Lars, just stop, Lars. You're trying to just, provoke people, and there's nothing. There's no substance. There's nothing to it." And there's a section in the movie where he literally brings footage from his past films and talk about art. And it's like, come on, man. Like, just stop. Just tell a fucking story for once. Make a legit movie and stop making this joke of a film. So, I wasn't angry. I was just really bored. I was so bored. And the 2 hours and 30 minutes, this is the R-rated version. I saw the R-rated version, and the original cut apparently was 3 hours. And, he needs to find an editor who would stand up to him and say, "Hey, Lars, your movies are really too long. It's ridiculously long. So I'm going to cut it to, 2 hours, just under 2 hours, maybe a little over 2 hours." So my general feeling about it is, it was whatever. Maybe that's not the reaction that I should be having, but, I was very indifferent. I didn't care about anything that was on the display. I didn't find the violence shocking or upsetting. I found some of the theology stuff, sort of, discussions about God and faith and art, and really not interesting enough. The last shot is quite beautiful. The last about 5 minutes of the... No, I would say that the epilogue is the best part of the film. It's visually astonishing, and the ideas in it are fascinating. But in the end, I just kept thinking, come on, Lars. It's not great. I don't think it's a masterpiece. If you think it's a masterpiece, fine. But it's not his worst movie either. It's just sort of a middle-of-the-road Lars von Trier film. It's the least interesting film of his for me. Again, I've only seen a handful of his films. But, I was kind of bored.